Right, we've got details of all these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can visit our Facebook page, Instagram, and share your views with us.
We begin right here from the Greater Accra region, and 7 fishermen are reportedly missing at Azizanya in Ada. The Ada East District NADMO coordinator Ebenezer Tenate, who confirmed this incident, indicated that 2 fishing canoes carrying a total of 19 fishermen capsized at the estuary while trying to enter into the Volta River. He indicated that all 12 fishermen in one of the boats were rescued, but 7 others are still missing. Those were in the second canoe. He noted that NADMO, together with the Ghana Navy, have embarked on a search and rescue mission. Let's now speak to Ebenezer Tenate. He is the NADMO coordinator in Ada East. Thank you so much for your time. What is the latest on this canoe accident? Hello. Mr. Nate, can you hear me? So the story is about 7 fishermen from Ada who are reportedly missing at Azizanya after their boat did capsize. The Ada East NADMO District Coordinator Ebenezer Tenate joins me on the phone. Thank you so much for your time. What is the latest on this developing story? We'll try once again and get through to Mr. Nate Pakwesi.
Right, Paul, a reminder, if you just joined us, this is News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. We're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments, and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on Twitter. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says attacks on the management of the Bank of Ghana over the 60 billion cedi loss is needless. In a 6-page open letter to Ghanaians following a heavy criticism, the Finance Minister urged Ghanaians to support the construction of the new head office for the central bank.
The pressure on the central bank governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, and the management of the Bank of Ghana has simmered down after the NDC minority postponed their planned demonstration against the Bank of Ghana over the 55 billion cedis loss posted in its 2022 report, and also the ongoing construction of a new headquarters for the country's central bank. Well, amidst all the criticism of the central bank and its management over the losses posted, the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, in a 6-page open letter to the Ghanaian populace, has described as needless the attacks on the Bank of Ghana management. According to the Finance Minister, under the leadership of Dr. Ernest Addison, assets of the central bank has grown from some 53 billion cedis to up to 126 billion cedis. Revenue from 32 to 96.7 billion cedis, and the country's economy and GDP seen an increase from 219 billion cedis to over 600 billion cedis. These, according to Ken Ofori-Atta, are evidence of the good stewardship of Dr. Ernest Addison. Citing losses from central banks from across the world, Ken Ofori-Atta makes the argument that COVID-19 and the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war is what led the central bank in supporting government expenditure, particularly the example of the United States Central Bank, which has posted losses of up to $52 billion as at April of 2022. For the Finance Minister, the brazen attack on the management of the central bank in the face of all of the global challenges and the examples of other central banks posting losses is the irony of the country's current state of public discourse. He wants a national cohesion and a coming together in support of the work of the Dr. Ernest Addison-led central bank in helping pull the country out of the current economic doldrums we find ourselves in. On the ongoing construction of a new head office for the central bank, Ken Ofori-Atta makes the argument that Ghanaians should support the BOG. He further argues that Ghana seeking to become the financial hub of Africa, even as the headquarters of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, it is necessary and important that we have a modernized infrastructure befitting of our status as a hub of African financial activities. Ken Ofori-Atta reiterates the point that the Ghanaian economy has turned the corner, and for himself and Dr. Ernest Addison, enough sacrifices have been made to see this turn. Hence, is calling for support for the central bank governor in helping to pull Ghana out of the current challenges and set it onto the path towards progress.
All right, so we're going to stay a while longer on this story. It's one of our top stories for the day. Let's go live to Zoom now. Dr. Patrick Suman is an economist at the University of Ghana Business School. He joins us live on Zoom. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and good to have you on News 360. So, first of all, what do you make of the finance minister strongly jumping to the defense of the Bank of Ghana governor? Indeed, he's right that the decision to construct the new head office was taken way before the DDEP.
Good evening and good evening to viewers. Thanks for having me again. I think that it is quite self-serving and expected that that's the position that the finance minister will take. I mean, so just to be clear, I am not one of those who think that the governor and the deputy should resign over the losses. But I think for the finance minister to be writing and defending is really not what Ghanaians expect of him. But it is expected because if you look at why the Bank of Ghana going into that situation in the first place, it's because of how the finance ministry has run the finances of the economy. If we haven't gotten into a situation where we couldn't pay our debt and didn't need the DDEP, a lot of these losses wouldn't have occurred. So it's not surprising that the finance minister will strongly defend the position of the Bank of Ghana. So that part doesn't surprise me. And I think some of the things that he says in the letter are just not just helpful. It's not what Ghanaians want at this moment.
But is it not important, Dr. Suman, to separate the issues of the DDEP from the decision to construct the new head office building, as I intimated and rightly said by the finance minister, that the decision to build the new headquarters was taken way before the DDEP occurred? Yeah,
I think, the focus on the new headquarters, for me, it's not really the bigger issue when it comes to the Bank of Ghana's situation right now. Because, yes, it seems outrageous that in the current circumstances, the central bank is building that kind of monument. But as you rightly point out, it is a decision that had been made. And obviously that decision was made at a time where the bank wasn't making the losses that they are making now.
Right.
But
so now let's focus now on the 60 billion loss. So the finance minister first of all talks about the building of the new headquarters and then goes forward to also talk about the 60 billion city loss, which it says is normal. I mean, when you look across the globe, countries like America, the United Kingdom have all experienced losses as a result of the current economic conditions. And I guess that's where a lot of people will have issues with the finance minister, that indeed his actions are what have led to the central bank's losses. And so for him to come and be justifying this decisions are a bit unfounded.
Yeah, so that's why I started by saying that defense is just self-serving, because he knows why those losses are there. And, when people like myself say the losses shouldn't be the reason for the governor to resign, that's not to say to normalize it at all and to trivialize the matter. It's a serious issue. And you shouldn't be citing other countries and say, oh, look, other countries are making losses. Other central banks are making losses. So it is okay for our central bank to make a loss. That's not. What we can understand and explain is under the circumstances, perhaps the outcome would have been worse if the Bank of Ghana hadn't stepped in. But that in no way justifies the quantum of the loss. We know this is more or less a one-time event. I think it's just not helpful. The Bank of Ghana has provided their own explanation. The people of Ghana have heard. I think the finance minister's justification and explanation, it doesn't do himself or the Bank of Ghana any good.
Indeed, from the grapevine, and it was later confirmed by people like Kwame Pianin, for instance, that once upon a time, the governor had threatened to resign because of undue pressure that was being mounted on him, by the government. So people like Kwame Pianin, for instance, have blamed the finance minister for decisions that he took, for instance, to get the Bank of Ghana to go against its own laws, to lend far more in excess of the 5% that was put in the law.
So, first of all, I mean, that is respected Kwame Pianin speaking. I don't think the Bank of Ghana is ever want to put that kind of defense because they are under no obligation to kowtow to the finance minister. They are supposed to use their own professional judgment. I will be shocked if the Bank of Ghana came out to give that as an excuse. But one thing we understand is that the monetary policy doesn't sit independently of the fiscal policy. And if you are the governor and you look at the circumstances, you make a professional judgment, you sense that the governor had to choose between two evils to, absorb the losses from the debt exchange and be in the position we are in, or perhaps decide that, things should just go as normal and let things collapse, which would have been more catastrophic. I think that is an explanation that not that many Ghanaians will find acceptable, but perhaps some economists like myself will find that as okay, not that, it's how it's supposed to be. So you can understand why the central bank might decide, okay, let me accommodate some of these losses. But I think any attempt to trivialize the matter or to say it is normal is completely not acceptable.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patrick Suman. We really do appreciate your time here on News 360.
In a quick response, Bawku Central MP Mahama Ayariga says the finance minister must also resign over the defense of the central bank governor. He tells TV3 the minister has admitted to orchestrating the failings which led to the 55 billion cedi loss posted by the Bank of Ghana.
Nothing good about it that he can be extolling. Absolutely nothing good about it. That they have maintained policy solvency is not a function of their ingenuity. Their policy solvency maintenance is because the law says that they are the ones to make policy. It's as simple as that. And because we are law-abiding, we will still go ahead and comply with policy made by an incompetent governor. That is the only difference. They are not policy solvent because they have proven themselves to be, excellent deliverers of their commitments. So I think that there's nothing that the finance minister can say about the governor today that will save the governor. Indeed, I believe that it's not just the governor who must go. The finance minister, by this statement that he has made, has admitted that he is the architect of what the governor has done, which has destroyed the central bank and destroyed the financial sector. And so, indeed, we must be demanding that the very accountability that we are asking of the governor must be extended to the finance minister. He must equally leave office. We've tried hard to take him out. He managed to survive. And I believe that is why he can sit and utter the kind of things that he's uttering today, admitting glaringly that the central bank is now in cahoot with the government and will print money for the government if government desires more money, because reportedly that is the new direction of central banks.
Right, I remember you're still watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. Let's do some politics now. And residents of some electorates, I beg your pardon, in Dom Kwabenya say they cannot forgive Sarah Dwasafo for failing them after sacrificing for her to become their member of parliament. The New Patriotic Party supporters claim the MP is pleading for another chance to lead the party at the constituency level following her apology to the party leadership, including President Akufo-Addo. The news team was at the constituency.
Dwasafo's prolonged absence from Parliament in 2022 sparked nationwide debate as she left the country following the 2022 budget passage on November 26, 2021. She was referred to the Privileges Committee by Speaker Alban Gbagwin due to her 15-day absence. The majority argued for a seat to be declared vacant, paving the way for a by-election, while the minority strongly disagreed. The Privileges Committee recommended that her seat be declared vacant due to her inability to provide an explanation for her absence. But the Speaker stated that the committee's report must be presented to the entire House. The ruling was criticized by Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, who deemed it unfortunate and inconsistent. She returned from the US and resumed her duties as Member of Parliament on November 11, 2022. But her appointment as Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister was revoked by President Akufo-Addo on July 29, 2023. Following her return, she began preparations for re-election in the upcoming NPP parliamentary primaries.
Still have a lot to do for my people, and I have to take the pain to explain to them the reasons for my absence. When the time comes, I shall not desert my people. I shall represent them again by God's grace. And I think that my people still love me.
The former gender minister has apologized to the party for causing controversies during her extended absence from parliamentary duties, stating that her actions were unjustified and expressed regret in a Facebook video.
My party for the New Patriotic Party and the party paying for.
I want to use this opportunity and apologize to my party, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, and my party leaders. I want to apologize for the behavior I exhibited sometime in the past. What I did was not intentional, and it was not planned for me to disrespect you.
She explained that the emotions she expressed were fueled by the intricate personal challenges she was grappling with in her personal life.
There was so much going on in my life and in my family. I take this opportunity to plead with you all.
The MP's apology has been met with varied reactions on social media and her constituents.
For me, there's no any forgiveness because it's getting closer to the election year, so I think it's one of those things of politicians.
You cannot just leave your work and go somewhere and come back to say sorry.
As I see a timid example, mobia or and persuasive be careful.
Me, I don't accept his apologize.
Noble Crosby Anna, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news tonight, lawyers for a private citizen who sued the Electoral Commission have accused the Commission of evading service of a contempt application. Despite multiple attempts to serve the writ, the Commission has initiated the limited voter registration despite several injunction applications aimed at halting the process.
For Precious Aita took over 2 hours to gain access to the Electoral Commission's premises. The court bailiffs were obstructed by security personnel who denied they had been instructed to allow entry.
We are told that no official is in there. They are all gone out to supervise from the chairperson to even people at legal. This is a contempt application, so the contempt application, the rule is that the person who is a respondent to a contempt application has to be served personally. After trying to serve someone personally 3 times or more, if you are unsuccessful and subsequent service will be impracticable, lead to undue delay, then your only recourse is to apply to the court for substituted service of that application.
The client, Precious Ayita, had filed an injunction application against the ongoing limited voter registration. The Electoral Commission's decision to hold the exercise at its district offices and not electoral areas was a major concern for the applicant, along with earlier suit by 5 political parties, which did not stop the Commission from implementing its plan.
The reason why she's evading the contempt service is that she knows with the contempt service she will have no excuse when she comes before the court as to why she's continuing. Once you accept with the contempt process, the next step is that the court will jail you if you continue with the very thing that we are seeking to stop you from doing. And that is why she's evading the step. But we can assure her that we are not deterred. We will go back to the court, we will get hopefully the court order for substituted service, and we will come back. So whatever she does, she can run, but she cannot hide.
The applicant's legal representatives plan to continue until Jane Mensah and her deputies are held accountable and seek custodial prison sentences as a remedy.
After we serve the issue with the contempt application, let us see what their reaction will be. If they continue with what they are doing, our clients will weigh the options we have to respect of whether maybe good Samaritans can assist or whatever it is to maybe get her to the center. We will look at all those options. But she will not lose out on the right, but we will still hold the matter accountable for her actions. So either way, we will still ensure that the law is respected.
The opposition National Democratic Congress has argued that the Electoral Commission's actions could have severe consequences.
The intervention-happy ECOWAS countries, they better act to stop civilian coup d'etats from happening. They shouldn't close their eyes on this flagrant disregard of the principles of democracy and rule of law, only to jump in when somebody overthrows that system.
The limited voter registration ends on October 2. Christian Yale, TV3 News.
Let's go back to our earlier story where 7 fishermen are reportedly missing at Azizanya in Ada. The Ada East District NADMO Coordinator Ebenezer Tenate, who confirmed the incident, indicated that 2 fishing canoes carrying a total of 19 fishermen capsized at the estuary while trying to enter into the Volta River. Let's speak to Ebenezer Kise Nate. He is the NADMO coordinator of Ada East. Thank you so much for your time. What is the latest on this canoe accident?
Well, we still, yes, let me say the number still stands 7 that are missing. Initially, we had a call this morning that some boats got accidents while trying to cross to land safely at the shore. When we got there, we found out that these 2 canoes were involved. The name of the first one is Shalom, which had 11 people on board. Out of the 11, 10 people were saved, and we had 1 person missing. The second boat is called Barcelona, and it also had 8 people on board. And as at the time we got there, all the 8 were missing. But later we found that 2 people were saved at a community called Kwavime. This Kwavime is a community along the shores of Volta region. So yes, families went and then picked their people. But the other 6 in the second boat are still missing. The boat itself, the arbor motor, their fishermen, everything is missing. So search is ongoing. And that boat together with Ghana Navy are doing the searching. And so tomorrow we continue with the search. And then the next day after tomorrow, the search will continue.
Do you know what may have caused this accident?
It is as a result of the strong waves coming from the sea. The sea is very rough. And after the time we got the call, we were told there were so many fishing boats on the sea, awaiting the sea to become a little bit smooth for them to be able to land safely. And so as at 12 p.m., none of the boats that went to fishing yesterday was able to land. But as we speak, I will not be able to say whether they have come to land safely or not. Okay. The two that think they had the experience and they'll be able to land safely were the people that involved in the accident. So as we speak, I cannot say the number of boats that went to fishing yesterday and whether they are able to land as at now or not. But I'll get back to you with an update as to whether they have land or not tomorrow.
So with rescue efforts, how long will this continue?
Yes, we will give ourselves up to 3 days. 3 days. Because after 3 days, I don't think anybody that drowned in the water will be alive. And looking at the forces from the sea, if we are not able to find somebody today or tomorrow, it means that the person will not be alive. But we are still hoping that up to tomorrow we find people alive.
Okay.
So search will continue tomorrow. And one thing is that the sea is also rough. So today Navy is not able to cross to the sea. You know, the estuary is made up of two water bodies, the sea and the river. And so the force at the meeting point is too high that the Navy cannot cross to the sea to do searching. And so tomorrow, if the condition, the state of the sea is a little bit smooth, it means that Navy will be able to cross to do searching on the sea.
Just before you go, what advice would you give to fishermen around that area?
Yes, we only advise that they have to be careful. You know, they are always close to the sea, and they know sometimes the sea can be rough. So as soon as they see that the sea is rough, they have to be very careful. One, not to travel. Two, not to attempt to fish on the sea. That is all that we have to tell them. And also we are sending this message to all the communities along the coast that in case they may find somebody, they should let Adanadbo know, so we will come for the person. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Ebenezer Kisenate is the Ada East District NADMO coordinator.
A reminder, you're watching News 360. Still to come. 3-year moratorium on new fishing canoes in the artisanal fisheries industry from October 1. We'll tell you why.
In more news tonight, the Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Mavis Hawakumsen, has announced a 3-year moratorium on new fishing canoes in the artisanal fisheries industry from October 1, following a stakeholder meeting in Accra. The move is to preserve and sustain Ghana's fisheries resources.
Ghana's fish stock has significantly declined due to overfishing. The number of fishing canoes increased from 8,000 in the 1990s to over 12,000 in 2023, while annual small pelagic fish landings, the backbone of the artisanal subsector, decreased from 199,000 metric tons to 20,000 metric tons. Sardinella Orytes annual landings decreased from 119,515 metric tons in 1992 to 11,834 metric tons in 2019, impacting the livelihoods of over 3 million people along the values chain.
This means that no canoes will be constructed and brought into the system for the next 3 years.
The 3-year moratorium on new canoe entrants into the artisanal fisheries industry is a crucial step towards sustainability, addressing the pressures on fisheries resource, and ensuring a balance between fishing activities and resource conservation following the implementation of the close season.
Taking into consideration the fact that we must sacrifice today to feed the future.
The measures are to reduce overfishing and recover fish populations with the aim of fostering a sustainable and environmentally responsible marine sector through these combined efforts.
A lot's been happening in the world of business. Michael Bodu is warming up to bring us the very latest. Michael, what's happening in business tonight?
Well, basically, the ECOWAS Commission is quite confident that they will be able to meet the 2027 deadline for the eco currency to take effect.
All right, give us the detail.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. My name is Michael Obodu. Straight into our first story, as the ECOWAS Commission has reiterated the single currency for member countries, the ECO will be launched in 2027. President of the Commission says despite shortfalls of member countries in meeting the convergence criteria, the Commission remains committed to launch the ECO in 2027. He was speaking at the opening of the 45th meeting of the Board of Governors of member states in Accra.
The ECOWAS single currency has been a major topic of discussion at the ongoing 2023 mid-year statutory meetings of the West African Monetary Zone, its institutes, as well as the sub-region. While some member states have questioned the feasibility of the 2027 deadline, others remain optimistic member states will meet the convergence criteria. Presenting a paper on behalf of the ECOWAS chair, Mambure Ninje, representative of the president, said the commission remains committed to launch the ECO in 2027.
The progress made so far in the implementation of the roadmap for the ECOWAS single currency program would not have been possible without your active support and participation. As we move closer towards 2027 deadline for the establishment of the ECOWAS Monetary Union, we rely on you for your enhanced support and cooperation towards the effective and timely implementation of the activities outlined in the roadmap for the launch of the ECO.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, expressed optimism in the single currency and added 2024 will be a critical year for member countries ahead of the launch of the ECO due to the challenges in the convergence by member countries.
It is clear from just a glimpse at that report that no country within the zone is likely to meet any of the 4 primary convergence criteria this year. This makes next year a critical year in the lead up to the launch of the ECO under the roadmap in line with the new macroeconomic convergence and stability path.
The 45th joint meeting of the Committee of Governors of the West African Monetary Institute and the West African Monetary Zone is expected to allow member countries share goals of economic stability, financial resilience and sustainable development within the sub-region.
An energy strategist has retreated calls for a clear-cut strategy to cushion fuel consumers amid rising prices at the pumps. Speaking to 3 Business, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Ayariga Energy Solutions, stressed the need to protect consumers from the impact of constant rise in fuel prices on the global market. The following report has more story.
The Institute for Energy Security, IES, has forecasted price increases in fuel and liquefied petroleum gas for the next 2 weeks ending September. Gas oil and LPG prices are to go up by 1% to 4% effective this weekend. CEO of Ayariga Energy Solutions wants a sustainable strategy from government to cool the local pumps.
Are we going to be living by this international dynamics where we always move by the wind? No, I think we have to have a clear strategy as a nation whereby when this dynamics hits, we should be shielded. And we have called time with that number that whilst the upstream will benefit, we're going to be hit hard by the downstream side.
These increases the IES has attributed to an increase in international market price of gas oil by 3.33% and LPG by 2.95%, coupled with a marginal depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar by about 0.97% on the forex market.
One would have hoped that this driver of the upward trajectory in these commodity prices would have been demand or should have been demand. But it is clear that in this case, the demand has almost always, like what I say, it has plateaued. Because what hitherto was driving demand was China, and China consumption hasn't picked up in levels that were expected.
Consumers are to brace for the impending increments.
The Food and Drugs Authority is exploring diverse means of funding the production of local vaccines. At its first scientific forum held in Accra, CEO of the authority, Dr. Delise Darkon, said the authority will partner with industries to ensure Ghana becomes a manufacturing hub in Africa.
Industry, academia, manufacturers, you, the media, you're our partners. First conversation we're having is Ghana wants to become the vaccine manufacturing hub for West Africa. How are we going to be able to support them? So we brought people from the universities, we brought people from research institutions, we brought people from manufacturing industries to have one conversation. They all need to be in the same room. They all need to be able to bring out their points, bring out their challenges, bring out their innovations, and discuss to see how this reality of His Excellency the President, to ensure that we become a vaccine manufacturing hub, we need to make sure that we can do it and we can sustain it. So that right from research and development up until the vaccines are manufactured, where we will be monitoring the quality and safety, all the players in this, all the partners are in one room discussing how to make it sustainable.
Well, that will be all for the business segment here on News 360. Our website, 3news.com, has more stories for you. My name is Michael Obodu. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay safe. Up next, the sports.